Okay, everybody. Emily, our guest is here. Everything was connected, and then all of a sudden, I couldn't show any of the comments on the screen. So let me fix this up. Hey, everybody, it's Mind Over Matter Monday. It's the first day of Mercury retrograde, and it means that things can be redone very nicely, maybe even better than before. What do you think about that? I think so. So everybody come on in. I'm Leslie Flowers. I'm very happy that you're here today. And I see Lay has put in the link to YouTube just in case. We're broadcasting here from LinkedIn and on YouTube and Instagram once I figure out how to do it. Right. So right now, what I have to do here is get the presentation over here. So let me just take care of that as Melanie sits patiently in the back. So how are you, William? I see you're here today. I'm so glad that you dropped in. Today is a phenomenal conversation that we're going to have on trust. And you all know Melanie. And Melanie and I, well, let's see. Yeah, I can take that down now. So Melanie and I have spent about an hour together earlier this week, and she explained to me everything about that I need to know about the basics of trust. And that's what Mind Over Matter Mondays is about. I'm Leslie Flowers, and I'm your show host. I am a proponent, and I'm so thrilled to see you, of personal, professional development, leadership, and anything it takes to recognize the patterns in our thinking, which has brought us to where we are now, to duplicate the patterns that we know work through experience moving into the future. And this takes a little something. It's thought management. It's a little metacognition. It's this kind of thinking is a muscle like any other that grows in direct proportion to its use. And oh, good, those things came back up. That's very good. I didn't see that before. All right. So I'll just have to add one thing to the video here. So let me just see who's here. So happy everybody's here. 𝗧𝗍𝗄𝗏. Hello, 𝗧𝗍𝗄𝗏. Thank you for being here, always coming in from YouTube. In case we go down on LinkedIn, we go up on YouTube. That's the beauty of modern technology. And keep in mind that since we're entering Mercury retrograde, keep in mind that just because we don't know quite yet how everything works does not mean it's not working. So astrology has been honored since we began recording history some 5,000 years ago. All the greats, Socrates, Plato, all of them were guided by the stars. Now, I'm not saying throw everything you know out and adopt that. I'm just saying that there are certain things that occur concurrently and frequently that you can count on. And so one of the best parts about Mercury retrograde, it's said that what can go wrong will go wrong. So if anything goes wrong during this period of several weeks, you just blame it on Mercury retrograde. Takes the weight off your shoulders. What did I do wrong? What didn't I plug in? Tell yourself a different story. That's the universe. And what will I do next? Well, how will I solve this? That it isn't anything that you did. And that's one of the practices of thought, is to tell yourself those things, because based on the law of polarity, both work. You know, either you can solve it or you can stress about it. That's why I like Mercury retrograde. So I'm excited to have Melanie here. There's Coach Carrie Willis. Hi, Coach Carrie. So happy. Oh, great show on Saturday with Bobby Lee Clark, live at 3 p.m. Eastern and all over the place. Fabulous. And we saw Bill Rochelle. He has a show Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday evenings to wind down. Then Thursday afternoon, he has a 1 o'clock show, UBU Live, and one at 4 on Sunday, Eastern times. Linda Meyer is here. Hello, Linda. Linda's one of our guest teachers. What we do here, and what my intention here is with this show, is to bring in guest teachers to address the area of expertise that they love, that they're studied in, that they are either new teachers, and I work with them on synthesizing their points, their concepts down to very simple foundational concepts, or they're already proficient teachers And we still meet, but then that's so that I understand their concepts. And you know what I've discovered? We're all talking about the same stuff, but we're all growing in conscious awareness every day that we can do more than we thought we could. And so are the attendees, so are the teachers. So just because you heard me talk about something a certain way, you may have heard Catherine speak about something. And I don't know that many other than Kimberly have talked about trust, but that's Mel's area. So what happens is that as you continue to come and hear each one of these teachers, the things that you're ready to understand, to get clear on, because we're not ready for everything at once, become clear to you. Once things are clear, you can take actions. And that's the most important part. We had Linda Meyer on here a couple of weeks ago. Linda, you were fabulous. Maybe it was last week. Narcissism. Last week. Narcissism. Oh, I wish I had known that a long time ago. And Leigh is saying hello to everyone. Mary Kay is here. She is a book coach and a ghostwriter. And I've had a wonderful conversation with her. There's the beautiful Jackie Hallberg, who just is recovering from an act of generosity that compares to very few others. I'm so glad that you're here and hope you're feeling well. Sharon Rose Winfield is here. She's more about spiritual EQ or SQ, but she knows all about all the other IQ, EQ, all the other Qs. But she also, her specialty is spiritual intelligence. So when she teaches, she's one of our teachers, it's amazing. And things I'd never heard before. 𝗪𝗛𝗄 𝗏 is here. Hi, 𝗪𝗛𝗄. 𝗪𝗛𝗄 is in Toronto. He's been a longtime supporter, and he posts beautiful, succinct quotes every day. In fact, I pride myself on being able to articulate complex concepts in very simple form. Nobody does it better than 𝗪𝗛𝗄. I pride myself to be really good at that. He always leaves me in the dust. So very little time invested in a great amount of information absorbed. Yes, Melanie is the best. And I'm just saying hello to all of you, but we're going to bring her out here in a second. Everybody take a breath, get out your pencil and paper, and send good vibrations and white light to our Melanie today, because her intention is for you to get the seeds that she's going to give you. And remember, she is excellent at this. She's studied. She may not be the best in the world, but she's been trained by the best. She sure knows more than me about it, and probably all of you. So let's learn about trust. And there's the fabulous Christy D. Williams. She is a customer service representative. She's part of the 2350 network, and I'm there too. It's a personal development platform, and they are our latest sponsor. If you look at the bottom, we have two sponsors. Our first was Stanley Green, Power Thinking Corporation, a cognitive-based personal development system that has been around for a while, and it now has its own app, an iPhone or a phone app. I won't say iPhone. That's what I use, so I figure everybody should. But anyway, and then 2350 Network is an off-platform personal development group that we all met here, and every year, twice a year, they do a big telesummit. One's coming up in October. I encourage you to speak in it, sponsor it, attend it. It's absolutely amazing. Amazing. I guess this is the third or fourth year, and oh, look at this. Look who showed up here. My friend Melinda Fargus. My goodness, she and I have been friends. In fact, I got my international speaker credential, if you will, on a cruise with her that she organized. So once you get outside the U.S. district and you do speaking, you're now an international speaker, right? So thanks for being here, Melinda. It's been a long time. She's done a lot of work with Suzanne Evans and driven that corporation. And we'd love to have you over here too. It would be fabulous to have you here. All right, let's see who else is here. Then we're going to get right to this. Sharon Rose, Kimberly. Kimberly is here. Yay. Kimberly Lechnick is here. So glad that you're here. Let me pull that down. There we go. Melinda, good to see you. Okay. And we got Sharon. I just don't want to miss anybody. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good here. Yeah. Let me bring up the right thing here. All right. So I want to bring up Melanie Richards. Now, Melanie and I have met, and she does different kind of work. She speaks a different language about all of this, but one that belongs as much as any other perspective or concept. In fact, it and may be the most important element, trust and values. How, it seems like as humans, we cannot trust 100%. So therein lies the challenge. So what is it we do, what we can do with our thoughts and our view to identify trusting environments, trusting people, and trusting ourselves, right? So let me make sure we're just about done here, and I want to tell you about my darling Melanie. So I'm going to bring this up here. All right. Melanie, I'm going to bring you up as I read this, so if I embarrass you, you'll just explain. Okay. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, here we go. This is what I wanted to do. All right. Better. Here she comes. There she is in Technicolor. Hello. Hi, Melanie.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening across time zones, and delighted to kick off Mercury is retrograde with the amazing Leslie Flowers.
Oh, thank you. And I know you play with it too. Do you agree that with my approach, that just because we don't know how something works doesn't mean that it's not working? It only means that we haven't learned yet.
Definitely. I'm a hashtag girl, daughter of a teacher. So that hashtag lessons learned, everything fits in someplace. Current, future, maybe somewhere in the multiverse, the metaverse.
So Melanie, I had a great time learning all about Mel, and I've known her for a while, but she serves in her work as a hybrid event conversion strategist. But what she really is a girl from the Bronx. She actually who can inspire leaders and inclusive leaders to create genuine relationships that inspire and spark collaborations and cultivate trust during all sorts of hybrid events. Doesn't matter if it's live, it's in person, if it's on Zoom, whatever it is, a seminar, doesn't matter. Now, most of you don't know that one of the things that makes Melanie's heart sing, but I know this, is her work as an advocate for social justice. So Melanie, let's open with that. Tell us a little bit about your work with social justice. I know we can find out about your work as a hybrid event coordinator, and you're muted, just so you know. So tell us, what is it about this social justice that I picked up on in our conversations? And we went through a lot about trust, right? And values and all boundaries and all of that, and AI. But what is it that inspired you for social justice action, please? And welcome.
Thank you again. And so the short story is, this girl from the Bronx, my Nana told me years ago, safeguard my light. And then I never asked her about this. And then years later, something happened to change my light. What I had to learn in the process was someone invited me to join the board of Fearless Hudson Valley. Now, I'd already had the little lessons learned nudge towards social justice by helping others fundraise. It's one of my secret passions. But what I had to learn was that somewhere in us, there's a story that we haven't heard yet. And this was a legacy story. My Nana was a domestic violence survivor, intimate partner violence. And Leslie will see later, because I shared a picture of my amazing dad. One day, my dad told me a story at a fundraiser for Fearless Hudson Valley, their 35th anniversary, about being an 11-year-old. And he and my uncle had to take turns protecting Nana, going to get an uncle nearby. it awakened the social justice in a way. It had always been present, but it really made it part of my daily steps. I wasn't sure how to help. I wasn't sure when to help. Wasn't sure who to help, but the why to help. Finally, blazing like that beautiful image Leslie has above our heads. And my dad's stories just stuck with me. He had never talked about my Nana's journey, and he had never talked about his journey as the oldest, feeling responsible.
Well, I think it's fantastic, and we're going to get into some really exciting stuff here in just a minute, right? I'm looking at my list here of all the wonderful things. All right, so I think I've got the comments ready. There's only one more thing I have to bring up on the stage. Thank you all for being here and honoring Melanie, and feel free to share this with anyone, because I suspect we're going to hear something today that we've never heard quite this way. I mean, we never have heard it at all, right? But this is going to be phenomenal. So we've got someone here on the move. Thank you very much, Mr. or Ms. on the move, coming in from YouTube. Mind Over Matters is every Monday from 11 to 12 p.m. Eastern, live broadcasting out of North Carolina and LinkedIn into YouTube and perhaps some other platforms one of these days. And we're here with the most wonderful Melanie Richards, who is all about cultivating trust. And that's where we want to go. So before we do that, Melanie, tell us just let's see, well, you're a hybrid event coordinator. And so you create these and do the strategies, and you can tell us as we go through. In fact, why don't we use the example of the 7-year client once we get into it, how you do this? Because it's one thing to say that you are a hybrid event strategist, right? Well, what does that really mean in action? It's kind of like thinking that the brain does the thinking, but really what you see in the brain is the illumination of certain parts of the brain based on what you're thinking. Right. So that's why I love this so much. So let's bring this up so we can see your wonderful face again. And I think I made a special slide. Ooh, let's see how this works. It may work well. Let me move this to tall. All right, let's see how this goes. But so I'm getting better at this, actually. I want to make you a little bit bigger. So when the AI clips come, right? There we go. All right. Oh, no, I don't want to do that right now. Hold on a second. The first thing I want to do is to shout out to Power Thinking Corporation. Stanley Green is the president and CEO of Power Thinking Corp. And we are grateful. He was our first sponsor. I can't say enough about him because he has been holding shows before he even started live events. Stanley was and still does meet by telephone twice on Wednesday and then promotes all during the week. So he's there on the phone to help you each week. But now he has an app so that he can send you wonderful push notifications about thinking positively. What is the Wednesday topic going to be? And it's all right on the app. And his goal is to have 1 million users around the world. I believe it's by the end of next year. So let's all help him. Go to your app store and look for Power Thinking Corp. You'll see a P with an orange sun behind it and a blue background. And then I also want to thank the 2350 Network Effect, which is an off LinkedIn platform, personal development program, but it's also business development and leadership. And yes, they do events and telesummits, but it's important to know that they're looking for sponsors, looking for speakers. This is all about health and wellness in business and leadership and balance. right? So work-life balance is one in the spring and one is the fall. So they've come on as sponsors. And I'm really excited to show you what's coming up with their October 2-day telesummit. And let me know if you want, go to creativelivingideas.com if you want to be a speaker, a sponsor, or simply to attend. There is a small investment worth every penny of it. So those are our sponsors. I love you both. All three of you, Damien Kinsey and Dr. Tanya Ferrin, are the co-founders and leaders of 2350 Effect. And of course, Stanley Green, who is president and CEO of Power Thinking Corporation. Thank you. All right, Miss Melanie. So the first thing we want people to do is to get to know you in a different way than on LinkedIn. And that's why I brought in the social advocacy. We know you. I know you as the trust person, right? When I want to learn about trust, you are my go-to gal. But I want you to show me and share with us what these pictures represent. By the way, is that you on the bottom left?
That's two versions of me on the bottom left, created by amazing Carla Sellers, one of my virtual team members who's been with me for the entire trust journey.
Oh, that's amazing. So there are two versions of you. Why? I mean, I know why, but tell everybody why you brought up two. Is this you here when you were littler, right next? Is this your brother?
Yep, that's me with my brother and my dad in front of a picture of Martin Luther King. And one of the reasons I shared both pictures with Leslie, and particularly today when Leslie invited me to share a little bit more about myself, was that these pictures help me define what trust is to me. So that picture of the little girl to the right with Martin Luther King is Melanie with family before my trust was ever broken. That picture on the left in the upper left-hand corner was on the day when my trust was first broken. And the two pictures together, and I love that Leslie put them together because she has no idea. The two pictures are related. That picture, the day my trust was broken, was 3 weeks after Martin Luther King's assassination.
Oh,
so Leslie intuitively, and this
well, that isn't 100% true. Okay, I'll take it. And I do have strong intuition, but you did mention when we were chatting that there were two sides of Mel, the one who wasn't trusting and look at the expression and the one who was. So I kind of had an, I guess, inkling and intuition work together, but I'm so glad I did that.
I am too. The one thing too is Carla helps me understand when I was looking upward is that during the trust journey, we end up reflecting on things that break our trust. We don't necessarily share those stories. That was the day I shared what we call the essence of trust. And
is that when it's broken? Is that okay? So how old were you when your trust was broken? I'm curious because I was over 60 when I finally figured out what was the originating incident. And once, but I mean, look, it took me a whole lifetime to actually get to why I had challenges trusting people, right? So how old were you when do you think you were when you had that trust broken and it put you on a different path?
7.5.
And I was, I think, about 5 or 6.
And the fun part is for those who think I don't look my age, and I appreciate you all. and we just came back from a delightful vacation where people are like, oh, you can't possibly be that old. But I was actually 7.5, and with transparency, that trust journey, I'm finally starting to share it in writing and in stories. But our trust occasionally is broken. And in this case, my trust was broken as a child, and my parents learned about it on that day, that process of trying to.
When did you though? Okay, it happened when you were 7.5. How old were you when you finally saw that this was the source?
That
Did you know right then?
No, but it did shape my relationships. Like that was I had an incident with my best friend calling me a name that one would never want to be called by anyone. And I I had to learn that day about language, and it changed my language. It changed how I spoke to others. It changed my relationships. It took me probably almost 10 years later to ever have another best friend. It changed every core relationship. It changed, and my parents would say it didn't change how I showed up in the world. So all this happens underneath the surface.
Hmm. So let's ask the audience, and I want to go on to the next picture because this is so juicy, really, because I was 5 or 6, but I was in my 60s when I was able to identify, which shows to me, Melanie, and everyone, that God and the universe, we are not always ready to have the answers that are required for us to heal or to grow or to evolve. So that's why I asked you what was the age distance, because it took me a lifetime to figure out, oh, well, I know exactly what it is. I can tell you exactly what happened. But it was so blurred with everything else that, the confused mind doesn't take any action. So finally in my 60s, God said, okay, Leslie, you've put up with a lot of stuff long enough, right? Now I'm going to show you what it is. Okay, why you've been so mistrusting and why these things seem to be happening to you. Because one thing I know for sure, Melanie, is we are 100% responsible for what goes on. Even if we don't understand, we must be responsible, which means everything is 200% between two people. That's my personal point of view. So who is this? What is this? Let me see if I can make it really big here. So you can tell us, who are these people?
These wonderful people are the board, the executive director, and the associate director of Fearless Hudson Valley Inc. This is a picture of us celebrating our 40th anniversary gala at probably the largest event I've been at since the pandemic. We had over 350 guests, and we were able to raise over 125,000 for intimate partner violence, teen dating violence, and human trafficking. They have residential and non-residential programs, and I love that they're the ones who really are in charge of the advocacy. I didn't know what that was called. I didn't have a word to describe it. And I think that's one of the things with our lens. We're taking steps. We don't have words necessarily or language to describe it. And part of that is the trust journey, whether we're sharing it outwardly.
Yes. And one of the things I want you to pay attention to, everybody, is that, we are all talking about the same thing, but we have different terminology. And the reason I thought of that is because Melanie uses the word lens, and other people use it as perspective or view. Is that a fair comparison, Mel? Close?
I think of it, you'd say, from a vision perspective. My trust lens changed as a child. I learned to pay attention to it, especially now through the trust journey and the trust certifications. How do I look at self-trust? Is it present? Is that part of the lens?
Got it.
So I think you would say my view of, am I trusting today? Is probably the simplest way to tie it back from a vision or a value perspective.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. And here's our last picture. Oh, I recognize some of these people. So what's going on here? You're a big social butterfly here. Who are these people that you're with?
Actually, not social butterfly. And the best part is 2 pictures less than 5 months apart. I had the chance to meet Lachelle Atkins and her amazing family when they visited New York. We were at Bergen Culinary Center, which one of her elephant strategy members on Clubhouse, Albert, and his amazing wife run this place. So it was my chance to finally meet Lachelle in person after 5 years. And the picture on the right is Chase in forehand. And I was there as the board member that day. for Fearless at a local fundraiser, Hudson Valley Gives, or HV Gives, which raised this year over 1.2 million for area not-for-profits.
So I want you to tell everybody the story about, so you're very much into aligning for collaboration. So I want you to tell us what happened with Jason at 4 o'clock that afternoon and what action you took when you became aligned with his stand and his lens, if you will. And then you took an action right after that. Will you tell us that story, please?
I sure will, and I'm delighted that Nick is here to join us. So after meeting Chasen at really about 4 something, I arrived at 4 o'clock to an event that I normally don't attend while packing for vacation. And meeting Chasen lit me up so much, watching him interact and watching his energy. And it really helped change the historical perspective of my interactions with Hudson Valley Gives. I had been to their first one. This was their 5th one. And I was there basically just to meet Chasen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, that was the fundraiser, right?
Yep. And it's a fundraiser where people come together. Everybody's getting prizes. You're getting shout outs. There were the radio stations there. They're at a brewery. You know, there's a lot of festivity and energy in the room, and watching Chasen's energy. And it was so cool because Nick introduced us. And there I had a chance to meet him in person. And then I left, and before I went home and finished packing, I popped into Chasen's online virtual fundraiser for his amazing transformation kitchen, where Nick was there, and Bill Rochelle and others. And yeah, it kind of brought the collaboration to life. Sometimes we're sitting behind a keyboard. We haven't had a chance to meet someone in person. That process of more than shaking hands, in this case, it was a hug, his amazing energy. I stopped and I turned, and I made a donation to Transformation Kitchen, to his HR4 Inc., based on meeting Chasen that afternoon. That became the action step. And we talk about it just like we talk about Jackie and her generosity recently and others. We have a choice of what moves us, what shakes us. And I think also we have a choice of what we make space for.
Yes. And I venture to say that this is really walking the walk. Because what we're going to go right into now, which is the basics of trust and self-trust, is I would say that if you were meeting someone at that same time, that same place, but it wasn't Chasen and it was someone else, and there wasn't that alignment and relatedness, you would have gone home and finished packing. But the inspired action, right, to turn on a dime to face the social justice issues, is walking the walk, right? Is being who you say you are being as often as you can. You can't do it 100%, but this is a perfect example. Don't you agree?
It definitely is, because also we are hoping in the process of living and creating relationships to meet amazing humans. We need to keep shouting each other out.
Yes.
And it either aligns with something we're working on, or it's an invitation to go in another direction. So I can't wait to see Chasen again, because his Transformation Kitchen in Beacon is open. So I'm looking forward to seeing him again. Not at a fundraiser. We'll have a little bit more time to chat.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. We have 3 major areas that Mel is going to explain, and let's consider these are the seeds. You've never heard anything about trust before. Okay, you have your own ideas. We all do. We have our own views, our own experiences with trust or lack thereof. But now we have this wonderful opportunity to hear how Mel puts this all together for you. So we're going to begin now with identifying your trust opportunity. So let's begin Mel, with what is trust?
You just helped us frame it beautifully.
Oh,
Trust is an emotion.
okay.
There's a minimum. Think of it, 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏, who has uh, of organizational soul. She wrote an amazing book, Interconnectivity, Flow, and Balance. And Yvette helped me understand there's two sides of the coin. It's bilateral. And I'm smiling because here's Jedi J, who's been hanging out a lot in our trust discussions. What is trust? Trust is an emotion. It changes over time. It changes based on our experiences. It changes based on the environments that we're in. And in the beginning, to me, trust was intangible. I didn't know how to describe the broken trust. I didn't share with transparency the age at which the trust was broken.
Right.
And it's why I'm now aware of the trust lens, just like the glasses. You know, what's my vision? How am I viewing the world today? Through open eyes, where I'm willing to trust. And what I love is Leslie picked up from a story about a client who was trying to build trust. And we had to really slow it down to those four steps that are underneath what is trust. And we slowed it down because their journey was around events and creating relationships that kind of felt genuine in a world that didn't appear to trust them. And those four steps underneath, under what is trust: plan, design, attract, and refine. Were
So let me ask you a question about this. So when we were talking, you were telling me about this client and that you're actually able to enable trust, to coach them in being more trusting and everything. And then I asked you, well, what did you do? Right? It's very nice to say that all this happened and there were great results, but it seems that this was the process. So tell us, how long did it take? How did you implement this four-step process? And how could we, right, implement the same process to restructure our own thinking about trust? Please.
We need to start by allowing more time. And this amazing client had gone to an event and was thinking of purchasing an exhibit. And the event they went to was at McCormick Place in Chicago, the largest event space in North America. They went to an event with 65,000 people, and they thought that was the perfect place to invest and start building relationships. And we needed to slow it down so that the plan would kind of align with some of their goals, and also to allow time for them to really build solid relationships. I speak about cultivate trust as opposed to building trust, because when we started on a foundation that's shaky, it can feel like we're playing Jenga, or some sort of jacks or pickup sticks, or pickleball, whatever your sport is, or you're somewhere in the World Cup and no one sees you correctly. They're not seeing you. But with this client, we really had to start with, Leslie would say, the values. And part of the plan had to become active and deep listening. They were focusing on sharing their messages.
So what it sounds like to me, and we won't spend a lot of time on this, but it sounds like they were enamored with the vanity metrics of being at an event that had 65,000 people, but all 65,000 were not their ideal clients. And it kind of reminds me of aim, fire, and then getting ready, or, heading out. And that's how I have always been, pretty much. I mean, I get an idea and I'm out of the gate. But the truth is, that's one of my areas that needs to be improved. So is that fair to say that the vanity metrics, maybe because they were unaware of these four steps, outweighed a different way of approaching it, and you brought that approach to them? Would that be fair to say?
Definitely.
How long did it take?
In the beginning, it took probably 3 months to reframe and reorient their goals with expectations, with the time frame, at the time, and I still am, I've been in promotional products over 3 decades. So they thought of me as the gift lady. We really had to work on the engagement piece
Ah,
of trust. Trust is an energy, it's an emotion. You can feel it.
yes,
And
yes,
and and slowing it down so they were in smaller spaces
I got it.
where that became part of the refined part.
This reminds me of some of the clients I've had where they want to do a live broadcast right now, or they want to get, let's just say they want 10 new clients and they're just coming on LinkedIn, right? And they got what, 500 connections. I think we get in with a given of 500. I think everybody comes in with that. And they say, okay, so in this 3-month period, I want 10 new clients. But they had no following, no reach, no branding. Nobody knew who they were. They weren't in any groups. So my advice would be to spend the first 3 months in relationships. Is that kind of the same kind of thinking, that you need to back up and see what needs to be in place as far as the design goes, and then the attraction of bringing people in? I love this 4-step plan. Tell me that I'm on the right track.
You are on the right track, because the part about refined that they had to slow down was they had to learn, and we learn it over time based on the results and the relationships and the feedback, is that they're now having an incredible amount of success as a member of membership associations. The events have
Mm,
less than 500 people. They're a
wow.
sponsor. They've
Wow.
changed the process of inviting people to their booth. They they changed where their booth was. They thought, I need to be in the center of an aisle so I have traffic from both ends. And I was kind of like, think of being on the aisle
Yeah.
and in a place of being able to welcome people. That part, to change your plan and change the design, the attract part, they had the marketing budget, they had the website, they had, the logo, the collateral materials. We helped them really change the process, just to kind of simplify it so people
But
could
now,
see
wait
who
a
they are.
didn't you tell me that they had a challenge that you also had to work through? And by the way, this didn't take just 3 months. The end result was 7 years. So if you think these things change overnight, they don't. But didn't you tell me that one of the founders or one of the heads of that company was not, English wasn't their first language? And
So the
they
company is global,
got
and
it.
their owner is in another country. And
Right,
here
right.
they are trying to establish and really amplify the volume of their North America relationships. And sometimes we're in different cultures, we're in different places where people, they don't always feel we look like each other. We're not wearing the
Mhm,
same favorite color.
mhm, mhm.
And the messages, the cultural messages, they had to separate that from the foundation of their brand so that people were able to see who they are.
So that was also part of your work. Let's see what Sajid Kumar. By the way, this gentleman, head of recruiting, the godfather of recruiting in Canada, and he's just come out with a book. Well, no, it's been out, but it's just amazing. It's 20 years worth of his work. Okay, biggest example of fire first and then ask questions is AI implementation in the core functions like HR. More discussions needed on the impact before making drastic changes. Biggest loss of AI implementation is trust. Well, I would say this is like the perfect segue. So I want to look at my notes again because I want to hear more about these people. Okay, so let's move then from, is there anything else you want to say about the results over 7 years and when you left them? What kind of condition were they in? Let's say that they were in a condition of 2 out of 50 of developing trust. Where would you put them in terms of following these 4 steps effectively after 7 years? Kind of where are they, understanding that nobody is actually static in one place and stays there? But what kind of grade would you give them in the transformation of their thinking and their approach based on your 4-point design, where would you put them, this company? Because remember, they weren't a US company. They had an extra thing against them, which was someone who didn't actually come from our culture. So they had to learn that too. How did they do in your book when you were finished working with them?
It's amazing to watch them with a larger intergenerational team. They also added women, which is the client base that they were trying to reach, was trying to reach women at these shows and these events. So they added, and it became part of the attract part. They asked a woman who was a client to join them at events. She's now part of their team. So it
Wow.
really changed the interaction. There was somebody else who looked like the people you were trying to reach, who was able to share their experience. They learned the power of using testimonials, not from a case history perspective of here's our marketing messages, here's our wizardry, but they really lit up all of their displays and all of their sponsorships. They now glow. There's no joke. There's lights, camera, and action before the first day that you meet them. And they just celebrated their 25th anniversary during
Wow.
one of these conferences.
Wow.
So I think the strength of watching their brand, watching them expand their team, watching them slow down conversations so they were able to increase the quality of the relationships.
Yeah.
And the cool part is they had other companies. They're now able to bring those into the client mix of introducing clients to those other brand opportunities.
Got it. So, okay, so let's now move into, because this is the perfect segue, lessons learned in a fragile AI world, the REE as opposed to ROI. Now, explain that distinction, because REE is a return to energy and engagement instead of, what is ROI? God, I can't remember it now since I've
Return
been.
on investment.
Thank you. We've been talking about REE. So talk to us about why you focus and you use another one of these systems, Melanie. You guys listen to this. This is so cool. So she has, I don't know if it's yours, but she's able to measure what to do next as far as returning to energy and engagement by measuring with why you want it, why it is, and why you want to, and what actions do you want to take on it. So let's back up a little bit and give us the distinction of the two, why they don't work together, why they're the polar opposite, and why you've chosen REE as opposed to ROI. Would you do that, please?
So, as a former finance major who was the bean counter with the operations background, we were trained years ago to just pay attention to returns on investment. And some people think that as to whether what they're doing is being matched. And they think of it financially. So if they think of a dollar and they want it to grow to 100K, for example, or 50K, or that process of changing what's important, relationships and trust are at the core of every single thing we do. So measuring returns on energies and engagement. And I laughed. This is a hashtag I've been using for about 7 or 8 years. And I laughed because looking at AI, it popped up again. Someone asked a question in a group in Lanier's amazing, Lanier Johnson's linkability community. And I
Mhm.
looked up hashtag returns on energies and engagement, and it popped
Mhm.
up in AI. One of the thing about lessons is sometimes what are we paying attention to? The
Mm.
relationships, the people we meet, how we meet them, as opposed to just entering numbers and data. And sometimes we really can get caught in the data part. And that's part of what I call our fragile AI world. We may pay attention to what we read as opposed to what we heard, as opposed to body language, something nonverbal. And as I would say, Leslie would laugh through the trust lens to change what we pay attention to change what we measure. And Leslie would say, change what we value.
Yeah, it's the things that, and value to me is, virtues and values have been around since human beings have been around. And the reason is, I think it's as simple as it makes you feel good. Does it need to be more complex than following values and virtues that are primarily positive? That's why I think people have always followed them, because they make you feel good, right? So you have, as you were pointing out, the emotions. You can feel good or you can feel bad. Which would you rather do? So when you follow a virtue, when you emulate good leadership, when focus rather than on the money part, but more on the human faith part, you're simply going to feel better. The ROI is kind of objective and dry, and it's good. It's about money. But the REE is inclusive with that which makes us human. And when we look at AI, that is a paradox in itself, because intelligence is human. So, what do you think about the words artificial intelligence together?
I prefer to lean in the genuine lane.
I hear you. I hear you too. It's interesting. Okay, so in terms of this example, we talked about measuring, how we can measure our own level of REE, and what it takes to determine the next action. So could you briefly tell us, because we're looking at time just a little bit here, we may go over just a few, what is the questions about why, how it helps us determine if we're going to need more information and we want to take action or not. So it's why do you want to do it? Why is it a possibility, I guess? Why, period? And then why with an exclamation point, I'm guessing, is why I'm inspired. Would you share a little bit about that? And especially if I've got it all wrong.
You definitely have it right. And it really aligns back to that 4-step process of plan, design, attract, and refine. If you think of a relationship or how we're exploring life, and I love it through kind of the lens of an amazing comment that Therese Lang put up, that if you start with the question of curiosity or exploration as the first why with a question mark, and you think of that kind of as a healthy first step, and that second step, the why, the second why is really about what you're learning during the experience. And that helps you get to the third why, which is, do you need to pause? Do you need more data? Do you need to reflect? Do you need to check in with someone else who was there in the experience? And I think to ask the question 3 times, because each time you ask it with curiosity, with active and deep listening, we learn something new each time. And sometimes, as Leslie and I were saying, the last why can lead you to the power of the pause.
Yes, yes.
As opposed to what I like to call, people will call it a call to action, some
Yeah,
sort of internal game plan or a strategy.
yeah.
But I like to think of that third step as leading you to a call to connect or a call to disconnect.
I got it. I got it. So now, we only have a few minutes left here, and I would love to have you come back and let us go back into this with deeper on the healthy boundaries. But give us the takeaway from our conversation is that we want to align our values with trust. So you had an example of how to do that, I believe. Let me see if I can get my notes up here the way I want them to be. We were talking about realigning our values with trust action. And then we had this conversation about going on a blind date with someone we don't know. Talk about that, because I can't remember what we were talking about.
So if we think of it, and I'd love to use the visual, Yvette Bethel has what she calls a trust sequence. There's a trust sequence, steps from no trust to kind of deep connected trust. And it goes the other way, from no trust to intense distrust. So if you picture that kind of, I love water images, picture the middle ground. In the perfect world, you meet
Mhm.
someone and there may be no trust. It may be, as what Therese was saying about, is a decision I'm watching and I'm changing what I feed my mind. And if you think of the no trust as a point where, does this align with my values? Does this align with my trust lens? Does this align with the cues that I'm seeing? And I think the part sometimes on a blind date, in a good blind date, you start out with no trust. That online profile hasn't scared you, so you show up, or you accept that first call, or or you progress past the first chat, or you send a message, and you wait. You need to actually pause, and that part of
Mhm.
checking, does it align on an intuition level? Does it align with what I've now can say my trust lens? I can feel trust in my body. I know when I meet you, whether I'm going to hire you or not. I know when we're going to work together.
Isn't this exactly what happened when you sat down with Chasen?
Exactly. Chasing that first conversation. So part of it is amazing Nick framed an introduction to chasing. She framed it perfectly. New Yorker to New Yorker, you know, and she frames it as, here's something I learned from this amazing man. And it made me lean in to be curious. And yeah, it is. Because Chasen would say, oh, we had that first conversation. And then Chasen would laugh because just before we met and we made the arrangement to meet that day at Hunter Valley Gives, we had a phone call on the weekend. Chasen had reached out about something else. He had met someone in conjunction with Fearless. So our alignment overlapped.
So you're able to, with practice, you're actually able to recognize the alignment. You felt it. It was a feeling that you had. Whereas when I brought up the subject, if you'd just been sitting with somebody else and having a conversation, would you have turned your whole life around in that 2 hours? But the REE was missing. The ROI was unknown. Right. And are you willing to invest in the unknown or be more strategic and selective and invest in your own REE?
Leslie, it's the perfect frame. Meeting someone like Jason online, meeting Nick was life changing, and I'm looking forward to meeting her in person.
Uh-huh.
But I think Bill's putting a comment about the signals of our brain. There are trust signals, and they really frame the lens and how you approach it. Are you comfortable with yourself? Are you comfortable with the person that you just met? Are you comfortable in the environment, in the culture? And there are body signals. I now know, you get a little something in the pit of my stomach. I need to pause. You're on a coffee chat or a call with someone, as Leslie would say, and your energy's not aligned. Those are 10-minute calls or less. And
Right.
in some cases, it becomes an opportunity to say, timing's not right today. Let's reschedule.
Excellent. Well, we're going to have to stop here. And I think that is aligning your values with trust. It's knowing what is significant to invest your time in, because when you have REE, you'll have ROI. REE leads to ROI. In other words, once that's in place, isn't it the perfect foundation for an ROI that is palpable?
And it's also the we need to be heard, felt, and seen. And if that doesn't align, if that's what you're looking for,
Yeah.
and your senses are telling you, or your instincts, or a team member, or a family member, or you walk into an environment and you're not sure it's safe for your child,
Yeah.
to really follow those instincts. Sharon's mentioning conscious curiosity as a great starting point.
She's
but
way
just
ahead of me.
something in the comments, just, yep,
Yes, there it is. Conscious
conscious
curiosity.
curiosity, and also awareness.
Yeah, it's being intentionally curious. All right. So, in the interest of time, even though 𝗠𝘁𝘁𝗲𝗏 is not having a show today, out of respect for everyone, and I know Stephen is probably on, he's probably on break, maybe his lunch break. I don't know. But let's see. What in the world? Where did this go? Okay, here we go. So, let me bring this in. And that's not what I wanted to do right here. Here we go. Thank you, Mercury retrograde, for making a mess today. So you can join Mel today at 2:00. Every Monday at 2:00, she's got something live, Eastern. And today it's Pockets of Peace Live, and Kimberly Lechnick is joining her. But upcoming, which is so exciting, and we'll get the link to you. Mel is working on it now, but she has Creating Cultures of Awareness, Respect, and Trust, which is going to be live on LinkedIn on July 8th at 3:33 p.m. And I don't even know what date that is, so I have to look up when July 8th is.
I think it's a Wednesday, because
it's the Wednesday.
Yep, I'm pausing next Monday, partially the holiday weekend, and relatives are coming in from Jordan to surprise my mom. I'm hoping they're at the airport, so I'm hoping to have a chance. I haven't seen my uncle in a while. He's about to turn 90. So I'm hoping to have a chance to surprise them. And
awesome. Did you say Jordan, like Jordan in the Middle East?
Jordan in the Middle East. My uncle is an engineer who retired. He spent a lot of time overseas on complex projects. And yeah.
I love it.
And,
all right. Sorry. Well, we're a little over. So your last words to everyone. If there's one thing that you would like everybody to keep top of mind, because there was quite a bit here, and they can come back and do a team replay. But what is the one thing that your intuition says that that's what this audience can take out into the universe this week, please?
In our fragile AI world, we need to pause. That active and deep listening, there are places for it. There are spaces for it. Leslie and I have had the opportunity recently to engage more in Angie Alexander's Sage Leadership Room. It's a place where your voice is treasured, respected, and where everyone sees everybody else. If you're not in that situation, try and locate a pause button and try and locate some time and space to explore. There may have been something that was off from a trust signal perspective. And rather than responding to it immediately with heightened emotions, unless it's threatening someone's safety or your core value, whenever you can, build in a pause button, and stay within your healthy boundaries and your values.
Yes, and I appreciate you so much for doing this today. It was wonderful. It's so great getting to know you and understanding so much better the elements of trust and the action steps and an architecture or a framework from which we can operate within. This is where mind matters. It has nothing to do with brain. It has nothing to do with your nervous system or your body. It has to do with what you're thinking. And that's why giving people that 4-step process, what to look for, how you would feel, a good example, helps us to all apply this at least the first time, to pause and to slow down. So thank you so much for being here. We all appreciate you very much, and have a blessed week.
You too, Leslie. Thanks for an opportunity to join you on Mind Over Matters Mondays. Everybody have a peaceful day filled with blessings, opportunities, and possibilities.
Awesome. Thank you. And everyone, I'm not sure who's going to be on next week. I have someone in mind, but we've got a little possible interrupt. So that would be next Monday. We'll have something explosive for sure. And then this Friday, 11 a.m., we're doing the wrap up. Now, I know it's July 3rd, but you can take an hour. It is the intensive wrap up of the 12-week or the 11 weeks of the 12-week Think and Grow Rich Principles, Leadership, and Law series. You don't want to miss that. And with that, everyone, I'm deeply grateful that you were here, that you honored myself and particularly our dear Melanie, learning about trust and cultivating trust. And there's lots more to learn. I'm going to play the outro, which is all the intro done by Soul Media Live Productions and Aaron Gibson, and wish you a fabulous week. Let me know how I can help you. It's interesting that I can't end it. Let's see if I can try it again. There we are.
Leslie, we are still live. This is something interesting happening today because I'm delighted to have streamed this to my Facebook and to my LinkedIn. And for some reason, Mercury is retrograde is telling you Shawn Michaels not on today. Leslie, you're supposed to have a few extra minutes. But I'm finding it interesting that StreamYard will not let us disconnect our live streams today.
Is it? Oh, so it's happening to you too?
It's happening to me too because I actually shared I reshared this also to my Meta and to my LinkedIn, and we are still live.
Okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna refresh and see if it will do anything. Let me just
Well, fingers crossed, because I tried and I left you for a second and I came back and it hasn't disconnected yet. So we'll see.